hilo la viwanja vya ndege nchini. Tuvuke moja kwa moja.
3, 4, 5, 6 columns where you have the name of the payment currency, the amount of the currency, the exchange rate, local currency equivalent, then the percentage of the net bid, and then what it is in US dollars based upon that Kenyan shillings. So if you look at the first one in Kenyan shillings, the amount of currency was 16,891,962,000. And in local currency, it's of course the same. In US dollars, it represents 168,058,321 and 104. And this is 30% of the net bid. In US dollars, the amount of currency was 392,136,82 and 58 cents, and the exchange range at that time was 100.58 for the shilling. 51. Local currency equivalent was then 39,414,578,000, and this is the net of that bid was 70% of the net bid. In US dollars, it represents 398,136,082,058 cents. So the net bid price in total in local currency, meaning in Kenyan shillings, is 56,306,540,000. In US dollars, it's 560,194,403.
We really don't have to go numerical by numerical, but just to get a gist of it, there was a variation because of an error that had been done, and the error was actually saving KA. It was not to increase the price, isn't it?
That's correct.
Okay, and then maybe just the error that was there was for $71,000, 301.
That's correct, sir.
Which translates to about 7.1 million shillings.
This is correct, sir.
Okay, but then thereafter, the second part is that the amended contract was cleared by the Attorney General, and this is what the CS was referring to.
This is correct.
Okay.
It's Annex 31.
Okay. And then on 12th of November, the ministry issued a letter approving the signing of this particular contract. And maybe colleagues, we can go to Annex 32. Annex 31 is the one that the Attorney General actually says that this contract is okay. Annex 32. It is important for all colleagues to actually note, just to take a point and note, that in this particular amended contract, it was signed by another CEO who was acting, and it was signed by another corporate secretary who was also acting.
Are you in the contract or are you in the letter?
No, I'm just letting you know, as you're going through that particular letter, that gives this particular... There is a letter of clearance, Annex 31, from the Attorney General. Then there's a letter of clearance from the Ministry of Transport, Annex 32.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that? And so far, the only constant person who is here between the previous contract and this contract is the AG and the contractor are the only two principal constant people in this particular contract. The Attorney General, and because the MD of Kenya Airport Authority is now acting, Lucy Mbugwa, the Corporate Secretary is acting, Victor Arika, and then equally as well, the principal secretary for transport at that particular time was Nduva Muli. Yes, Muli. That it is not, that the Muli being talked about is not you?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think that is clear.
Okay.
On the contract at Annex 33, if you look at that contract, nearly the last part, it is stated clearly that the first contract was executed. So it is good also to confirm who signed, who attested that contract.
Which part are you telling us?
Page 716. The contract, the copy of the contract, Annex 33.
Which page of the contract?
Page 716.
716.
If you look at it's paged.
Yeah, page 176. The unwritten. 716. The unwritten number. When you look at the last, it shows the first contract was executed. So it must have been attested by somebody and put a seal, must have been put. So it's good to know who signed that.
And Chairman, the other issue on the contract
Yes.
is
I want to thank you, Auditor, for raising this matter.
Chairman,
Because,
if I may, I just have some information from our office related to the original contract, the first one, 2012. There's no seal.
Oh, so you
And one signature only. There's only one signature, and we are double checking now if there's a seal, but we will bring this to confirmation for you. Yeah.
I think colleagues, you had requested for that information, and they're just confirming on the same.
The original.
Yes, we will, and we've already requested for the original of that one and the original as well of that particular document, the one that has been purported to be signed from the office of the President. Let's not move backwards, let's move forward. We are right now on the new contract, unless it is correlated. Yes, Gladys?
Yeah, that's what I want to talk to. And I'm looking at the AG's review of the contract and the issues that he is sorting out in that review, the points that he is raising. And VAT is not one of those points. So, and the VAT in the new contract is still excluded, but excluding 16% VAT. So it means that did the AG actually give a green light to the exclusion of the VAT? Because if VAT was a big issue, this is the point at which the AG should have dealt. Because for me, the biggest issue with the first contract was the issue of the contradiction between the letter of award and the contract on the issue of the VAT. But here's the AG reviewing the contract, but the issue of the VAT has still been left as was in the first contract.
Because if you look at this contract as well, that now the AG is saying that go ahead and sign it, it is fine. The Minister for Finance says go ahead and sign it, it is fine. It actually states that the figures we are talking about here is 653,732,814.57 Then it goes ahead and says this is inclusive of 10% contingencies for the work, 5% for employer supervision, and all applicable taxes, but excluding 16% VAT. So as a matter of fact, the contract that KA actually signed, that now has endorsement from the Attorney General, it has endorsement, and it is a bit wanting, because if you look at the tender documents, it was clear that these figures were meant to be inclusive of taxes. If you look at the advert that was there, it is clear that the figures were meant to be inclusive of taxes. So it is a bit wanting how the Attorney General went and said, go ahead and sign this particular, everything else. It is like doing a whole agreement and then everything else changes in the last minute by, instead of saying the word including, you just wrote the word excluding, and then the figures that are here now is the difference that we are talking about is close to 11 billion shillings. Of course, then these are figures that are from 2012. If we look at appreciation value, these figures that we're looking about, we're checking out right now, we don't need to go to the Chinese to look for a loan.
I think, Chairman, I agree with you. Guido Mugai is also a very crucial witness that will appear before this committee. Indeed, we appreciate the fact that he's the principal legal advisor of. He of course, the AG is the principal legal advisor of the government, and he, of course, draws his mandate from Article 156 of the Constitution, 2010, which vests that powers on him. That said, still, we have an oversight role over him, and we need to verify some issues. The Muigai should appear before this committee and shed light on some issues that is not adding up.
Well, it's not even just Guido Mugai alone, but it is also very, very critical for us to find out the current AG as well, if he had been given these documents, because the tender documents, it is clear, the tender documents from the advert, from submission to everything else, was that it was meant to be inclusive of all taxes, and that means VAT as well. Then last minute on drawing the contract, they just said exclude 16% VAT, and those figures are colossal amounts. We'll have Hire and then...
Chairman, no, I was just suggesting, why don't we just still go through these documents? As
yes.
we go through, we may find even some of the questions we are asking now may be explained here.
I doubt whether there'll be another explanation as to why there was a variance of 16%, because it is even still an issue of arbitration till today. We will get to the arbitration, but as I said, this whole thing looks like, it's just like a Mexican soap opera where new characters are born and then the other ones. CEO, why don't we continue? We are at the part where now the contract has already been signed, and now we are now talking about the VAT element part.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I will then proceed on item G, exclusion of VAT from the contract sum. Number 1, the Daily Nation advert dated Thursday, 21st June 2011, Clause 1.9 clearly stated that prices quoted shall be inclusive of duty and other taxes, and prices shall remain valid for 120 days from the closing date of tender. We have seen this one before. Now it's not annexed here, it's annexed under the tender. Now you guys have to help me. I think it's annexed under the June Annex 3. And now I'm going back, now in the beginning of the document. You said,
yeah, you've already explained this part. I think,
yeah,
colleagues,
so we have shown it before. So
yes, this is being repeated, the part where we understand it from the advert of the newspaper, from the tender document, yeah, from everything, 16% was meant to be inclusive.
That's correct.
And whether it was 16 or 10 or 8, but it was inclusive of all taxes.
Yes.
Okay. Taxes. So now the question that comes in, and this is all here. The question that I want to ask is, who raised this matter? That guys, there's a difference between the contract and the tender. Someone must have blown the whistle and said there's something not right here.
Chairman, I would, now I'm speculating because I can't see it in the memo from the corporate secretary, but I believe that it came from the corporate secretary at the
corporate secretary signed that they were content with that contract. They're the ones who actually signed, appended their signatures that they were very okay with that contract.
No, I'm talking about the first contract. Already you told Bob, who was addressing and saying that it's without VAT. I believe that was part of the reasoning.
But can we?
I'm speculating.
But then even thereafter, right now the bone of contention is the VAT part still.
Have we done with the VAT section?
No, not yet. What I want to know is, if there was someone who had not blown the whistle, Honorable Thuku.
Chairman, did you hear that? The MD is saying that he's speculating.
He said he's not sure. And I think he was consulting.
Chairman, internal audit says that it was internal audit that raised the issue of the VAT to the board in an internal audit report. We will of course avail that report.
Is it part of this?
It's not part of this.
Can we be able to get that? So the internal audit actually raised this matter?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I think the Office of the Attorney General as well picked this matter as an audit issue?
Chair, of
Yes,
course I would
Auditor
say,
General. What did I say?
I would say the issue
Auditor
is
General,
before
sorry.
you, because of the Auditor
Because
General.
of the
So
Auditor
you don't
General,
even
yes.
need to belabor
Yes.
who raised it.
Yes.
Because we brought it before you from 2013
Yes.
onwards.
I think it's clear.
Can we continue?
I proceed on number 2. The tender document, section 1, invitation to tender, paragraph 1.9, stated that prices quoted shall be inclusive of duty and other taxes.
I think this part we've already, because this is a repetition of what you had already
I
submitted.
can continue on number 3.
Yes, and then there was the tender
committee in the 175 meeting held on 15th December.
That as well has
2011.
already been deliberated.
Yeah, the notification, and number 4, the notification of award.
As well, that has been deliberated.
Number 5, clause 6 of the first and the second GFT contract signed on 14th September 2012 and on 13th November 2013, respectively, were amended to state that the contract sum of $653 million and 653. I don't understand that number.
653.78 million.
Okay, was inclusive of 10% contingencies, 5% employer supervision cost, and all applicable taxes, but excluding 16% VAT. Number 6, VAT is a form of tax, and its inclusion at contract signing contradicts the prerequisite documents to the contract and the clause stating that the price is inclusive of all taxes. The action of including VAT would have increased the contract sum by $104.6 million, or Kenyan shilling 10 billion and 36 million. Number 7, the board of directors in its 195th meeting held on